Let's jump straight into it. So, Lawrence, what are the most important metrics to track for an SEO campaign?
So when I think about metrics, I think about two things, two categories first: leading indicators and lagging indicators. So I apply this to not only just SEO but in the business as well. What are the leading things that lag into those final results? So lagging would be revenue, conversions, those metrics that we're actually trying to, the final result of which everything is hinged upon. But then the leading ones, there could be a multiplicity of those. The most
Yeah.
obvious one being impressions,
Yeah.
leading to clicks, which would be more of a lagging indicator. But I think my views changed over the last couple of years that conversion and revenue is the ultimate game, and I think in SEO it's very hard. It's been always very hard to measure against those metrics, but with newer tools in place and at least a lot more changes and shifts in how we can see those metrics, I think having things like impressions and clicks above traffic as well, but also leading to overall looking at what pages are converting, but you can never obviously see it off base of which keyword directly unless you're using a whole bunch of tools behind that. So we've always gone by keywords, traffic, and clicks through the page, funnel being revenue. But I'm even adding things in like brand search volume for once, because I think definitely how a brand's perceived online has changed over time. And maybe something like that is an optional leading indicator to add to your metric set or whatever traffic visibility dashboard that you have. But yeah, overall, you want something that actually drives everything through to the final result.
Yeah.
You have really good leading indicators to make sure that if something's off in the lagging indicator, those leading ones give you the signals of where things are going wrong.
Yeah. That's so interesting. Would you say like an SEO campaign, can you attribute the growth in brand searches to the SEO campaign? Or is that just more of a metric around the overall brand health and something like you tell the client like, oh, hey, your brand mentions online have grown by 100%. That's not 100% something that like we're directly responsible for as your SEO team. But what I can tell you is that your brand is definitely growing online and becoming more, large and big and more successful. But yeah, that's just something that I guess they would like to hear as an extra bit of additional information. But it's not something that the SEO manager can say like, I did that, right?
Unless they can prove it towards a particular category. So if we can do something like DPR where we can show you've done nothing to these pages, and then we did this DPR campaign and we got these citations and this amount and towards this particular type of sentiment or category, which is very, very hard to do because people often like linking to the homepage or something a little bit more generally interesting. Then you could say, well, if that triggered that event, but you did nothing else, give us credit for that.
Yeah.
But the brand will always take a look, always be cynical about, well, we did X, Y, and Z. Can you prove that? Or some will believe it really easily. But I think that's pretty healthy. I don't think any brand should take everything as literally, because I think every single market provider would try to defend their channel and say, like, we want to claim credit for this. But if it's overall working for you and you can see the measurement and saying, okay, someone did this and it resulted in this, what's key is sometimes people miss out the action of which they did, or tracking that from a particular point and then showing and tying the result to that. And there may be some indirectness that you can talk through it, but then in SEO, you can speak the same about people doing really well and paid. And then that also conversely working with SEO at the same time too. So I think as long as you're tracking the measurements of which, and also getting hyper specific about if you're doing it to a particular area of the business, or the easiest one is we uploaded this page and we got this ranking within this amount of time. Who can deny that? Because no one else ever touched that. But when you have a bigger brand which has multiple things going on at any time, Black Friday's coming up. There's so much brand activity happening around it. But if things were positioned pretty well, ranking pretty well already, the SEO does have to take some form of credit to being able to lock in that positioning over time. I have seen great brands do no SEO at all and rank really well, and that's great. But that is never consistent. Like you'll maybe stay there for a time, but if you don't have a good SEO program, it'll fall apart in 6 months or a year because competitors are coming after you.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned DPR. Can you tell the viewers if they don't know what DPR is? Can you define that?
Well, that's digital PR, my friend.
Digital PR. I was like, I've heard of PR, but what's DPR?
Yeah, everyone's got their new acronyms these days. But digital PR is a form of link outreach where we're looking at more higher tier publications by using data-led studies, using brand-led stories, creative content as well to get really high-quality publications linking to a brand. Now, this is obviously a lot more technical and advanced than your normal, hey, I just want to guest post and I'll find someone online to link to me.
Yep.
This is actually ideating and thinking really heavily about what you want to talk about, getting actual journalists to write about that, and then link to you as well. The hardest part is actually getting the link, because people aren't going to give that away that easily. But now more and more I'm realizing, and studies are coming out. I don't know if you saw that Ahrefs blog where it talked about how brand citations now, especially in LLMs, are very important. Even just having the brand name there. And I remember Rand Fishkin saying, like, you think at this stage that an algorithm won't figure out if there's a link or not, that a brand's worth talking about if it's been mentioned millions of times online. Like, do you think it's that unsophisticated to think that way? So I'm all strong on like brand citations as much as links these days. So if a brand's willing to write about me, awesome. If it's willing to link to me, even better. But I'm not going to sort of throw away the brand citation as like, it's not important. I'm much more flexible these days.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, these days I've been hearing a lot in the SEO community, like unlinked brand mentions are just as important as having like an anchor text that links back to your page. Yeah.
So theoretically just as important. Agreed.
Yeah. So if you just have like click here, but before the click here, you actually just drop that unlinked mention. Apparently that's really good. And personally, from personal experience, I've been doing that a lot with our clients. And I have seen that ever since we started doing that, we've started appearing more and more in the AI search results, or AIO, at the very top. And I'm like, that's the only one thing that I changed. Like, I started wrapping our backlinks in more context. So I started to make sure that all of the surrounding text around that anchor has like what we do alongside with our brand name, and then the anchor. So
there's like a very simple what, who, where, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
A very simple framework around that link.
Exactly. Like, yeah, exactly what you said. Like, you know, what we do, who we are, like where we're located, and like where we operate. And I give the website master the entire paragraph. So I say, like, I want you to put this whole paragraph into this spot inside your niche edit, or inside your article as a niche edit.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, boom. And then it's like, I don't give them just the anchor anymore. I give them the whole like paragraph.
Just
right?
do this.
Yeah. And a lot of people are very receptive to it. They're like, oh yeah, 100%. Let me just boom, copy paste it in.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, let me take that backlink money. But yeah, it seems to be working really, really well. So
okay,
that's a handy tip. To jump back into the topic though of important metrics to track. Lately, I think I've had a shift in mentality as well that's similar to you. Like, people really care about conversions at the end of the day, because metrics like traffic, impressions, etc. People are like, oh yeah, shit, that looks nice. But business owners always ask us at the end of the day, how many customers did I get from this? Or like, you know, how has your campaign translated to more revenue for my business?
Yeah.
So we've kind of like come up with this formula that we track now, which is everything starts off with impressions. So obviously, like, you know, the more impressions you get, that leads to more clicks. So it goes like impressions. It's kind of like, let me just kind of visualize this.
We get like a graphic here.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a funnel, right, at the top. So it's like a funnel at the top, and then it comes down like this. So you have impressions at the top, right? So let's say you have like 100,000 impressions. That would then lead to clicks. So what's your click-through rate? Let's say it's like 2%. So you have 100,000 impressions. 2% is 2,000 clicks, right? Of 2,000 clicks, how many of them actually contact you? So this is for a service-based business. How many of those actually turn into a lead, right? Because just because you get 2,000 clicks, you might get 0 leads if your like website's really crap, for example. Or if your website's really good, you might get like 10% click to lead ratio. And then of the leads, how many of those leads actually turn into a quote? So a lot of the time, 50% of the leads that you get from any service-based business, shit kickers, window shoppers, or telemarketers. So we always have a rule that whatever amount of leads that we project that somebody is going to get in a month, we halve it, because we're like 50% of them are immediately going to be
link
crap.
orders.
Yeah, exactly. There's always going to be crap in there. Like, you'll never ever get 100% like perfect, you know, qualified leads. So already we're like, okay, we started up here with 100,000, and then we went to 2,000 clicks, and then normally like your lead to click ratio is like 10%. So then you have from 2,000 clicks, now you're at 200 leads. And of those 200 leads, 50% of them are crap. So now you have 100 qualified leads. And then of your qualified leads, how many of them are actually going to, are you actually going to be able to give quotes out for? Because you're not going to be able to help everyone.
Yeah.
And that's typically like, I think it's normally like 50-ish% as well. So now you have like 50 good leads. And then now it's all about your conversion rate at the end of the day. So most people sell at like 30% if you're like a kind of like a smaller business and you haven't figured out your like proper sales process yet. They normally sell around 30%. So now you have 50 people. So you have 30% of 50, which is like 15 off the top of my head. So then you have 15 sales. So from that equation, you can now figure out, okay, how many impressions do I need to get? How many clicks do I need to get in order to figure out and project how much real sales my client can get? And then from there, you can figure out like, okay, what do I need to do to get my client the right amount of impressions and the right amount of clicks in order to get them their real desired result, which is how many conversions am I going to get? Because a lot of people focus on how many leads am I going to get them? But we don't look at that. We're like, how many true leads am I going to get them? So I'm like, shit, I need to do even more on top of what I'm already doing in order to make sure that like my client is successful with their campaign. And a lot of the time, like we used to think, hey, we're not responsible for what happens later in the funnel, like down here. Like I'm not responsible for your closing rate. I'm not responsible for your qualification rate or the amount of times that you give out quotes to your leads. I'm not responsible for that. But when you think that way, the clients leave because they're like, dude, like I don't care if you're responsible for that or not. I care at the end of the day.
Money?
Exactly, where's my money? Like, am I getting ROI out of you? Because if you're not responsible for that and you tell me that, it's like, why am I paying you then? Like if you're basically telling me that this marketing channel at the moment, my business is not yet ready for because my metrics at the bottom of the funnel suck. So therefore I'm just going to stop paying you and stop working with you. And I'm just going to focus on fixing up my stuff down here. So we're like, okay, let's try to help them at the top of the funnel as much as possible to make it really, really freaking hard for them to fail or get a negative ROI with us in the long term.
So you're trying to jam as many people through the door so they...
yeah. So it's like we're trying to...
increase impressions as the leading, and then everything filters through.
Yeah. And like do more than what is typically expected. Because like we really want to try to force success, right? And at the end of the day, if we go above and beyond like what normal people would do or normal agencies would do, and they still don't work out, that does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
It just really can mean like that person or that business has a lot of things that they need to work on the back end before their marketing is really going to work. Because you can have excellent marketing and heaps of lead flow, but if you don't have like a sales team to pick up the phone, your pickup rate is really bad. You haven't looked at the competition in terms of your pricing as well. Like where are you in terms of pricing? Are you really expensive? Are you really cheap? Are you somewhere in the middle? Is your pricing competitive? Then yeah, obviously you're going to think that the marketing doesn't work, but sometimes it's not the marketing. It's just like your funnel, somewhere in your funnel is broken. Yeah. So when we break it out like that and we look at every stage of the funnel and we track like how things are going, we can really clearly see where is it in a business's funnel that's really breaking down. And we can show it to them as well. We can be like, hey man, look, Mr. Client, you got this many impressions, this many clicks, but what happened here between clicks to your, I guess, the number of people that contacted you from being a click dramatically dropped. So you had like 2,000 clicks, but only like 10 people contacted you. So something's happening right here, which is most likely your website design or product offer.
Yeah.
And then we can tell them like, okay, this is the problem. And then they're like, oh, okay, I can see that. How do I fix it? And then, yeah, since we started to offer like website design as well, but like the biggest problem is likely your value prop is unclear on your website. Like people don't know. Yeah. People don't know what they're buying. The copy is not good. It's not conveying your business in the best possible light. So they don't feel like they want to give you a call because they don't feel like they're in the right place or you're the right person to help them. So we need to fix this. And when you can show it to them like that, they're like, oh, wow, like that actually really makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm going to fix my business first before I worry about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.